Hello everyone, my name is Katelyn Toth-Fejel. I'm a PhD student and lecturer at the Centre for Sustainable Fashion, London College of Fashion, which is at the University of the Arts London. And today I'll talk to you about the possibilities for enriching research into sustainability by taking into account the local context of people, materials, and communities. My area is fashion, a sector whose role in our currently unfolding environmental and human crises is increasingly acknowledged. And while there's been a significant increase in activity to try to address this, this activity has been dominated by technocentric or eco-efficient approaches, with strategies like replacing less environmentally friendly fabrics with better ones, or reducing waste and pollution in the production or disposal of clothing. But there's a critique of these approaches that they've only succeeded in making fashion less damaging at an individual product level, not in reversing overall impacts. Eco-efficient measures ultimately fail because they do not seek to alter the systems they're built into of unchecked growth, waste, and inequality. Effective sustainability for fashion, as with many industries, will only come about by restructuring our systems to ones which are radically different. And this means that the focus of research in this area needs to be radically altered as well, away from how to make current systems slightly better to how we can better satisfy the physical, social, and psychological needs that fashion provides, but in ways in keeping with a smaller metabolism. And this opens up a large territory of required research, drawing on perspectives of economics, cultural studies, sociology, and psychology, which have so far been largely outside or on the margins of research in fashion and sustainability. Understanding fashion, not just through supply chains and waste management, but through its rich and complex social dynamics, requires research that reaches across disciplines and specifically draws on a blend of art, sciences, and design. I write about how research into fashion and sustainability can be usefully called on the following areas. Ethnographic methods are quite useful because they're adept at investigating complex organic systems in the social sciences often of society and culture, for building relational rather than reductive knowledge, which is mostly what we currently have in fashion and sustainability. Art methods are useful in their capacity to make sense of difficult to describe dimensions of the human condition and surrounding world. Things like nuance, empathy, and other things not reducible to language, but very much a part of the power of fashion in the first place. Design methods aid in synthetic ideas formulation and also as a platform for the convergence of science, technology, and the arts. And what this mix looks like in the case of my work is 6 methods that I'm using together to examine a small geographic area in great detail from a number of different angles. This approach of using a quadrat to look at a sample area in great detail is used in ecology and geography and has recently been used in Kate Fletcher's Fashion Ecologies project. The 6 methods are listed here, and these methods include actions like visual drawing and other observational art processes. I do come from a fine art background originally, which is something I've actually been bringing back into my research. But it also uses methods from ethnography, as I mentioned. An example of this is the use of wardrobe audits, where the entire contents of people's closets is recorded and analyzed. Also design methods, using things, for instance, like cultural probes. And these methods together, unlike many investigations of fashion, where fashion is viewed as inherently industrial, globalized, and commercial, these methods actually are tuned to understand fashion through its social patterns, its material flows, and its interactions. This holistic and relational approach is designed to better uncover where the seeds of sustainable social change already lie. And I spend the final section of my paper discussing the most experimental item on that list of methods I just showed you, the use of creative drawing and mapmaking. I found drawing and mapmaking activities to be, to be useful for 3 different stages of the research process, which encompasses pretty much all of the research for the observation, the analysis, and the communication of findings. For example, as a way of seeing the areas under study in a new light, observational drawings help see things more slowly. They help me as a researcher notice marginal details. They focus the mind because, unlike a photograph, many details have to be filtered out when you're doing a drawing. Secondly, when it comes to analysis, detailed maps, for instance, of the clothing resources of an area, which I'll speak about in a minute, help to analyze and understand the fashion landscape of place. And finally, maps made in cooperation with local residents communicate a social understanding of the area in a way that no written description could. In this way, maps and drawings also speak in a language not restricted to academic audiences, so they go further in opening up this information to all. So next I'll show you a few images of work in progress that have come out of this drawing and map making, and as you'll see, have also been informed by the more ethnographic or design methods that I've mentioned. For instance, these drawings of 3 shirts and their captions have come out of a wardrobe audit of one individual in Shoreditch, and the captions say, from the left, "When I moved to the Highlands, I think that impacted my wardrobe. I just didn't care." And then under the shirt in the middle, "Then I came back and got a job in the middle of Shoreditch and quickly realized I need to buy some different stuff." And then on the right, "I have a number of shirts that I wear if I have to see a client in West London." The drawing of these shirts and the editing out of the details, the focus on specific quotes tells a narrative of the relationship this person has with clothes and place. And I want to stress that these are still not final outputs, they are work in progress, but I wanted to show some of these to give you a flavour of where this work is going. Shoreditch, which I just mentioned, is one of the 2 areas I'm looking at. And for those of you who don't know, it's an area in East London with a long history of association with fashion and textiles. It's also an area of creativity and gentrification, poverty, all in one. So this book, A Fashion Atlas of Shoreditch, is where I've been cataloguing all sorts of fashion behaviours of the area in maps. On this page here, you can see a map of the brick and mortar fashion resources of an area, which includes things like shops, dry cleaners, tailors, the locations of sewing classes, and along with that you see in the colour the routes where people have used to get to them or go between them. And there's various things that that tells me that I've been writing about. And finally, I want to say that where I'm most interested in developing these methods is in using them in workshop settings where people in the area collectively make maps to document their take on fashion behaviours in the area to do with sustainability. This is work that I'm hoping to have up on the Fashion in Residence website later this year. So while I can't show you the final results yet, I believe that these maps I'm making and facilitating will offer a way of communicating a fuller spectrum of fashion activities which take into account contextual, social, and behavioral dimensions so that we can better understand how to foster sustainability in fashion. So to conclude, what I'm really looking forward to in using these methods is developing some of the things I've discussed, only a little bit of which I've described here, but I hope that you can use, from what I have said, use what I've said to think about a way of enriching your own research practice, to get ideas for how you might take into account the rich context of place and everyday clothing behaviours, even if many of these actions seem quite insignificant. I want to end on the thought that research doesn't always need to focus on what the bulk of the population is doing. Sometimes fashion sustainability research and sustainability research in general suffers from one of the problems of capitalism, thinking that more is better, whereas impact may actually come from the quality of tiny actions that need more study and support. In them may lay the seeds for more resilient communities and greater sustainability, certainly for great social change. Thank you very much. If you've got any other insights into interdisciplinary methods of research around clothing and place or sustainability, I'd love to hear from you. Thank you. Bye.